This is my scarecrow.
There's different corn in there now.
Hey guys, Capper here. Welcome back. Today's going to be about a 5-week update on the corn and soybeans. I did have to replant both of them for different reasons, so we'll get into that. We'll go through the entire 5-week process and get you an up-to-date update as of today, which is June 29th, 2022. So let's get some fresh air and see how the plots are doing. What are you doing? Can you grab me a sausage, egg, and cheese omelet with hash browns?
What am I, Curtis?
Hey, hung up on me. Alright, so a quick recap of my plan was Phil and I planted corn and soybeans on May 24th at the same time, about 9 acres worth, with the goal of trying to overwhelm the deer with everything coming up at once. So the corn I had left over from last year was Rural King corn. That came up pretty good, but you'll see what happened. But the beans I got free from my farmer from last year. I got 11 bags, and they are glyphosate resistant and 2,4-D resistant. So what happened with that first planting is the corn came up pretty good, but none of the beans came up. All right, here we are, June 1st. It's been 7 days for this particular plot, and corn is popping up. You can see some of them are already eaten. Critters already in here eating them. And the beans. So on this first update, the beans weren't coming up. All I was getting was cockleburs. So I gave it a few more days, but the beans probably should have been up before the corn, but I thought, well, maybe it was planted a little deep. Today is Saturday, June 5th. Here's an update on the food plot. The corn, you can see, is coming up very nicely. They are about, see, they're already starting to get eaten. They're about, look at them all eating. They're about 3-ish inches tall. Some of them, like down there, are 4 to 5 inches. Let's go see what the beans are doing. Yeah, I'm looking at this corn now. I mean, they're already nipping it. You can see all the tracks in here. It looks like cattle pasture. I don't see much for beans at all. Damn, where are the beans at? I think they're eating them. I mean, there's one there. So let's see what happens on the next update. All right, so our corn just keeps disappearing every day. This is what happens. The critters just eat it too fast. So this was germinated nicely, but now as we walk down the row, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all the other ones have been eaten. Been eaten from either dug out as a seed or eaten right away. Look at these. That's the challenge. They're just all eaten down. Here again, and I haven't even gotten to fertilize them yet. They're just getting to the size where I could fertilize. I'm not sure if you guys could see it. It's the same story. You know, every one of them is just chopped off. And then I did a soak test in the kitchen, and none of those beans came up at all. So my suspicion is they were probably inoculated last year. So none of them beans came up at all. So now we're going to start this whole thing over again. Replanting the corn because the deer devoured it, and the beans that never came up. All right, so I just got an alert from UPS that my Eagle beans just got delivered. Let's go out to the end of the road and see if we can pick them bad boys up. Just loaded them up and it's raining. Though the good news is they're in boxes, so for the short ride back to the house, they'll be protected with the boxes on the. All right, here's my Eagle beans ready to go. I have to inoculate them Although it says to lightly moisten the seeds, but don't get them like wet. Not sure how exactly you do that. Anyways, I have 2 bags of Gamekeeper and 2 bags of Wildlife Manager's Mix. One is supposed to grow beans earlier in the season and one later in the season. I'm just gonna mix them all together because they're all Roundup ready anyways. I'm basically pouring 1/3 of the bag in, then about 1/3 of the powder, then the next third. All right, we got beans going in the ground.
Well, there's Joe trying to beat the rain, and right there's the rain. Should be here in about a minute. Here comes the rain. I can feel a little mist come. Well, since we couldn't find the covers and we were kind of in a hurry, I put some old seed bags over top the seed bins, which I'm thinking was probably a good idea now.
That couldn't have worked any better. All right, just finished the beans again, the Eagle beans. It's June 10th today. So here's the corn. You could see the rows down here. They're really spotty. So where they were just decent like this, I'm leaving them. And then I planted the rows that don't look this good, if you will. I replanted the corn also. This is just critter carnage. They get them from seed on up. Squirrels, birds, turkeys, rabbits, coons, you name it, they're after it. Kind of hopeful for these Eagle beans. I'm also doing a better job this year with weed control competition. I just hit it again with glyphosate, so it's got a new clean start here. Hey, look what I found. 1 soybean out of about 5 acres. These were them were the bad ones. That was a bad batch. But if I can get all of it to at least get to 3 or 4 inches and hit it with fertilizer, I might have a chance with them Eagle beans. Also, when I re-drilled, I did try to miss, the rows that had some corn in it. The hopes that, obviously the more volume, the better. All right, and this is what I wanted to see. I finally found one. These are the Eagle beans. We got some germination going on. Here's the most recent update. It's Sunday, June 12th. And good news, my new corn is sprouting. The stuff that I replanted. That's coming up, and then there are still some stretches where they haven't totally devoured them. You can see these are still eaten off, but if you see them rows of green, I do think they're going to keep growing. It's just with this clay, I mean, you almost can't win. It's either too nasty and wet or too hard and dry. I mean, that's the drawback with clay. It's very, very hard to get any kind of a break at all. My first soybean right there, June 13th. Of course, they're calling heat warnings all week now. I mean, in the 90s, heat warnings for people and no rain in the forecast. So, wow, look at these eagle beans. That is less than a week. All right, I think it's the 14th, and we have bean germination. Big time. Big time. That's what I'm wanting to see now. Let's see how much carnage they can withstand. Look at these eagle beans. And that's without any dirt. All right, here we are, June 15th. I'm not seeing much of my new corn come up. Well, yeah, I guess it's starting to pop up. So that's good, but we're in literally going to be a drought this next 2 weeks unless we get a pop-up shower. Heat index is well over 100 for the foreseeable future right now. So here's my beans. They're definitely coming up fast. Fingers crossed that this drought ain't gonna wipe them out or the critters. But we're back to plan A, where the beans and the new corn are coming up at the same time with hopefully enough tonnage to outrun the critters. All right, I'm out spraying my plots with fertilizer, and it is slick, man. I got it in 4-wheel drive, and I'm sliding all around. We got a big rainstorm yesterday, but I'm very excited, but cautiously, because if the deer find them, you know, they could wipe these things out in a few nights. So here's something I wanted to show you guys. I don't know if you could see, but this ground is like dark. It's soaking wet. All right, but you look where we're at right now, and it's a much different tan color. Look right up here. That's because of these big giant trees here. They suck all that moisture right out of the field there. All right, it's June 28th, and my soybeans have disappeared again. I'm not giving up yet, though. They got them mowed down. I mean, they're growing nicely. They're the eagle beans, but they're mowed down again. So I'm adding another 2.5 gallon plot boost. I'll probably put some triple 20 in there and maybe a little bit of extra urea, nitrogen, because I'm hitting the corn and the beans at the same time. I'll also put some glyphosate in there. So I'm not giving up yet, but it's another knockdown. So the corn is doing pretty good overall, especially the stuff that survived the first plant. So I'm hopeful. There goes a deer. No, there's another one. There's a fawn. I'm hopeful that this boost is going to be what they need. All right, let's get a couple updates here. June 28th, I just sprayed today. You know, you look at these fields and it's like, look, there's nothing even here. I've been staying on top of keeping them clean. I've been fertilizing. They looked better before I went on that Honda trip like 5 days ago or 6. But if you look closer, you'll see we have fantastic beanage and germination. Okay, but they're eating them down every single day. Every day they're eating them down. I'm just hoping these eagle beans can outrun them. Because I did find some beans that they missed, and they're big and fluffy and, you know, like 8 inches tall, 8 inches wide. So let me go show you some of the better areas. But this was the second corn planting. They're still eating the corn. This particular spot is not that good, but let's go look at a better spot. All right, this area, this is the second corn planting, which is doing pretty good, I hit it again today. I double hit it with fertilizer and glyphosate. I mean, they're looking good. They got good color. They're green. It's just a matter of if they can grow fast enough before they get the tassels on them, because that's when the deer just hammer them, boy, when the tassels come on. And beans, here again, it just looks like blank, nothing. But if you look down these rows, it's just a bunch of stobs, if you will. They just whack them down every single day. I mean, you could see, you know, see that? It's just whacked off. That's how they go all the way down the rows. I mean, we have great germination. There is beans everywhere, probably, you know, 4 or 5 acres worth. All right, I'm going to show you, this is a pretty good spot for corn. And of course, we got great bean germination again. But it just gets whacked again every single day, every night. But I think maybe after today's spray, maybe we could start outgrowing the deer. And this was the worst field for the cocklebur, but I'm slowly getting it under control. The rest of the fields are really good and clean. I mean, you can see the corn, even they're eating the corn here as well. Fingers crossed, maybe. I don't need 10 acres of corn and beans. I just need like the equivalent of 2 acres worth, 2 or 3 come hunting season. So we'll see. I mean, I'm doing everything I possibly can this year. And here's a couple beans that they missed. Or that's 2 days growth instead of just 1 day's growth. All right, desperate times call for desperate measures. I'm gonna park a couple machines out here. It's June 30th. I'm gonna put the tractor and a buggy in one of the kind of better spots to try and dissuade the deer, at least for a day or two, just to give them a little more oomph. If the beans can get past like 8-10 inches, I think they'll do good. Same with the corn. The quicker it can go, the better. So I'm gonna grab the tractor. All right, I'm gonna try and put up a couple of utilization cages. It's a little late, but it's never too late since we still got plenty of growing to do. I'll put them in 2 different fields, and I want to park vehicles around also to try and give the crops just another couple days. All right, I'm going to leave the tractor in this field on the edge, and I put a utilization cage there. Now I'm going to go get the other Polaris and park it up in that field by the first Polaris and just see what happens. So here's a bean that they missed, although they hit it, but it had a little bit of a chance. So you could see how big it is. I mean, here you could see they nipped it in several spots. So I believe they should probably be about this big right now is where they would be without all the carnage. Okay, I got one buggy over there. This is my scarecrow on the ATV over here, and a second utilization cage. This field here has got a lot of cocklebur. I'm aware of that, but I just hit it again with glyphosate. I'm getting slowly knocking it down. So we'll check back in a few days or a week and see what's going on. I think that ought to scare them, at least for a day or two. Maybe I'll just move them a little bit each day. We'll see. Desperate times call for desperate measures.